Hello friends, welcome to June 16, 2021, and I'm glad to remind you that today is International Day for the African Child. Yes, I'm sure many people may not be aware of this special day. Yet today is a special day in the life of an African child, and the reason is that in 1991, specifically 30 years ago, the Organization of African Unity, OAU, which is now AU, gathered together to form a charter, and that charter is along the line of the welfare of an African child. And how did they get there, and why did they get there? Yes, the reason was that in 1976, in Soweto, the African child, that is the children in Soweto, protested against discrimination in the education they were given. They were not allowed to attend the same school with the children of the whites, even though that was their land. Of course, it was during the apartheid, and the children took to the streets. They protested against the quality and the type of education they were given. And in the usual way, during the apartheid, policemen opened fire on them, and thousands of children were killed. Thousands were maimed. Thousands were injured. And for several days, the killings went on. And so a lot of blood was shed. It was a very gory sight indeed in the land of Soweto. It was a terrible thing, a terrible tragedy that befell Africa. And so in 1991, all the states in Organization of African Unity, the member states of Organization of African Unity then, that is OAU, which has now transformed to AU, gathered together and to commemorate that special day, because it happened on June 16, 1976. And so to commemorate that special day and in memory of the innocent children that were lost, who lost their lives, people gathered together, these member states of OAU gathered together to form a charter, and that charter was aimed at having welfare of the children at heart, at having the best, and it was decided that the statement would be that our children are the tomorrow of African society, and so they should be treated with dignity, they should be given the best type of education. Now, looking back now, this year as we celebrate International Day for the African Child, the theme for this year specifically is 30 years after the charter. We want to look back, how far have we gone, how far have we fared in giving welfare to the African child. And I want to tell you, in Nigeria, can we answer that question? Yes, if we need to answer that question now, we want to take a quick review of what has been happening to the African child in Nigeria. Yes, at least in the past years. Remember the Chibok girls? They were children and they were abducted. Remember in the last few years now, in the last few months now, we'll be having different children being kidnapped from their schools. In Borno State, in Niger State of recent, in Kaduna State, even in Lagos State. And so, do we therefore say that the African child's welfare is being catered for? Are we doing well along the line of the Charter for the African child? Again, because of this violence in schools, because of this series of kidnappings and serial kidnappings, we have discovered that children are now afraid to go to school. In fact, parents have disallowed their children from going to school because of the fear of being kidnapped. Now, this has affected the education, the right to education of the girl child, of the boy child. That is their rights and their entitlement under the law is being jeopardized by this act of kidnapping and violence. people can no longer go to school. And we are talking about the welfare of the child. Now, talking about the welfare of the child, we are talking about the right to education of the child, the right to good food, the right to Medicare, the right to good environment, the right to parental care. Now, again, do we ask ourselves, especially in Nigeria, how far have we done well in this area? And the answer is no. Now, we talk about the right to education, the right to security. All these are being denied of an African child, and by extension of a Nigerian child. Now, Nigerian children, you will say they have the right to education, but for so many impediments that confront their right to education. Number one, the fact that we have early marriage in the northern parts of the country also affects the right to education. Children are bundled into marriage before the age of 17. Now, again, remember the Child Rights Act that has been domesticated by some states. We still have 11 states of Nigeria, 11 states in this country that have refused to domesticate the child's right law. In other words, in these states, their children have no Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights that are enshrined in the Child Rights Act, which has been domesticated in different states, are missing in 11 states of Nigeria. And we still talk about the welfare of the child. Again, like I said, early marriage is one of the problems. Then violence in school is one of the problems. And of course, we even in the southern part where we don't have early marriage, we still look at the issue of education. We discover that poverty has also been one of the problems. Yeah, parents cannot send their children to school. Yes, some claim poverty, of course, some ignorance. And like I said sometimes last week, that there is the Universal Basic Education Act that gives the right to every Nigerian child to be in school free of charge on at least till JSS level in secondary school. In other words, your child has no reason to be an illiterate. Your child has no reason not to be able to read and write, because it is free to be educated. And so we are therefore reminding ourselves today that the child in your house has a set of rights that have been guaranteed unto him or her by virtue of the laws. And so today there is a need to celebrate the African child all over. The African child that has had to contend with poverty, the African child that has had to contend with illiteracy, the African child that has had to contend with poor environment, the African child that has had to contend with insecurity, the African child that has had to contend with early marriage, the African child that has had to contend with bad culture, discriminatory cultural and cultural practices, and the African child that have had to contend with poor Medicare, the African child that have had to contend with poor governance. All these are the problems confronting, and many more. All these are many more, and many more. The categories are not closed. Are the problems facing the African child. And so today, as we celebrate the African child, by extension, we celebrate Nigerian children. We want to say Nigerian children deserve the best, because our children, of course, they build the nation for tomorrow, because they are the future of the country. So let us build them up with the hope of the future. Let us invest in our children. Let us take care of our children. Of course, let us give them the best education. The quality of the education you give to your children will determine how far they go in the society. And of course, let us give our children the best they deserve. The rights of the children are important. And I want to therefore take this opportunity to call upon all the states that have refused to enact the African, the child's right law in their states. I'm talking about Zamfara has not done it, and Niger has not done it, of course, and incidentally, that is one of the states where children were kidnapped, and so many states, about 11 states, most of them are from the northern part of the country. I want to please remind the governors, of course, and the members of the House of Assembly now that it is high time these laws are done, because it is desirable that our children are accorded some rights that they deserve. Yes, child's rights are human rights, and I want to please beg you, please, the rights of the child in your house is very important. Give him or her the best education. Give him or her the welfare she deserves. Give him or her the right to deserve the right to good education, the right to good food, the right to good environment, and of course, the right to family life. And as I wish our children today all over Nigeria and by extension all over Africa in this continent, happy International African Child's Day. I say, please respect the rights of the African child. Respect the rights of the Nigerian child. Respect the rights of the child in your home. I want to wish you a wonderful day at work, and I say, happy International African Child's Day. God bless you.